Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, 2021 is almost over. At the time that I'm recording this video, it's just a few days before Christmas, and this year is almost wrapping up. And so I thought that I would take a few minutes to share with you my favorite Criterion Collection releases of 2021. I would just say that overall, 2021 has been an incredible year overall for physical media. I mean, when you look at the releases from the major studios, the releases from the boutique labels, like Criterion, like Arrow Video, like Kino Lorber, just across the board, it has been a fantastic year in physical media across the board. Criterion Collection has had a great year in 2021, following up from an amazing 2020. And I just feel like Criterion continues to up their game year after year and just get better and better. And I think that's exciting for physical media collectors such as myself. And so that's why I wanted to share with you my thoughts on my favorite Criterion Collection releases of this year. Now, before I get into my top 10 favorites, I do want to share with you that this is my personal top 10 favorite list. These are the editions that for me are the ones that I enjoyed the most. I'm not saying that these are absolutely the definitive top 10 best of the best for everyone, but these are my personal favorites. These are also the editions that I have watched. So there are a few Criterion Collection releases that have come out this year that some of them are in my library, but I haven't yet watched them yet. So some examples of those are Secrets and Lies, Minding the Gap, and The Ascent. Those are three titles that I picked up during the sales this year, but I haven't yet gotten around to watching them yet. So this list entails the Criterion Collection editions that I have seen, my personal favorites, and the other big caveat that I would give you is these do not include box sets. So there's a number of box sets that came out this year. I am not including those box sets in this top 10 list. However, I will tell you at the end of this video which Criterion Collection edition would be at the top of my list if I included box sets. So at the end of this video, I will reveal that. But without any further ado, let's jump right into my top favorite Criterion Collection releases of 2021. Let's go. So let me start off with a few honorable mentions. I'm going to share with you my top 10 favorite Criterion releases, but I have a stack here of 4 titles that I felt warranted an honorable mention. So let's jump right into these. The first of these is a title that came out around the middle of this year, and I think around springtime. And it's a title that's directed by Amy Heckerling and based on a screenplay from Cameron Crowe, and it is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This was my first time watching this movie all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of it over the years, but this is the first time I actually sat down and gave it an earnest watch with this Criterion Collection release. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I anticipated. And this movie had deeper meaning than I ever thought it did, right? It dealt with some themes that I didn't really anticipate that it would be dealing with. And for my money, this is probably the best soundtrack of the year of any Criterion Collection release. The soundtrack for Fast Times at Ridgemont High is one of the best soundtracks that I've heard in a long time. It is absolutely fantastic, and I really enjoyed this edition. So this is one of my honorable mentions. Another honorable mention is a film that appeared in the Olympics box set that came out a few years ago. It's got a single edition release similar to the Tokyo Olympiad in 2020, and that is Visions of 8. This is a wonderful film. I really enjoyed this. This features 8 filmmakers giving their own visionary take on different aspects of the 1972 Munich Games. And I just love the style of this film, the different visual styles presented in these 8 different stories or vignettes about the 1972 games. So Visions of 8, this fantastic edition from Criterion. Another edition from Criterion that came out that I'm gonna offer as an honorable mention is one that I wanna thank this audience for. I wanna thank the film community for. As I said before, I benefit so much from listening to your comments because I learn about directors and films that I had never heard of, that I start watching and they become new discoveries for me. And this is an example of that. When this title was announced in July that it would be coming out in October, it was not at the top of my list. I did not plan to pick it up, but I got several comments saying how awesome this film was. I picked it up and I'm glad I did. It is Onibaba. This is the horror film from the 1960s from director Kaneto Shindo. And this is a fantastic horror film. Really enjoyed it. Beautiful atmosphere. Just a fantastic film all the way around. So thank you to the film community for recommending this one. This is Onibaba. Really, really good addition from Criterion. And then the last honorable mention. So of the 4 honorable mentions, this one came out at the very end of the year. Actually came out December the 7th. And it is a film that I almost waited on. I almost waited for an upcoming flash sale or the July Barnes & Noble sale. I'm glad I went ahead and pulled the trigger and got this one. This is from Academy Award winning actress Regina King in her directorial debut. I did a review on this recently on the channel, and it's One Night in Miami. This is a wonderful addition from Criterion. Really enjoyed this title, really enjoyed the film, but I think I enjoyed the special features on this even more. I mean, this was a fantastic release all the way around. Regina King contributed heavily to the supplemental features on this disc, and it's just a great overall addition from Criterion that I'm including in my honorable mentions. One Night in Miami. This is the 2020 film from Amazon Studios, directed by Regina King, and it is one of my honorable mentions. So those are my 4 honorable mentions in this video here. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you got Visions of 8, Onibaba, and One Night in Miami. All highly recommended titles for your collection. So that brings us to my top 10. What are the top 10 additions from Criterion that made my list this year? Well, I got a nice stack here that I'm gonna go through, and let's start at number 10. At number 10 is an edition that came out, that was supposed to come out in October. It was delayed until November, and a 4K edition was announced with that. So I picked up this 4K edition and I saw this film, and to be honest, on the first viewing, it didn't really hit me that well. It didn't really land with me too well. But upon a second viewing, I really got into this film even more and really understood or began to understand what these filmmakers are going for. And this is a film from Josh and Benny Safdie, and it is Uncut Gems. This is starring Adam Sandler. And this is a wonderful, wonderful film and an even better addition from Criterion. The supplements are absolutely fantastic. They do a great job of really breaking down this film and really helping you get into the mind of the Safdie brothers. So this is a great film and a great addition. Adam Sandler kills it in this role. This cast is just amazing. This is just a fantastic film all the way around. I will say that the film itself probably is not for everybody. It's a very angry film. It's probably a little bit more aggressive than some people would probably care for. But if you can get into this film and maybe give it a watch or two, it might grow on you. And once it does, you really begin to understand what these filmmakers are going for. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what Josh and Benny Safdie have in the future. And I can only imagine that this might be the first of several titles from them that may appear in the collection. We shall see. But Uncut Gems, the 4K Ultra HD combo pack, just a fantastic addition overall, and it makes number 10 on my list. So that's number 10. Number 9 on my list is an addition that I really enjoyed, and it is a film from 20 plus years ago, I guess, from the year 2000, excuse me. And this is a film from the year 2000, and it is a fantastic film from Gina Prince Bythewood, starring Omar Epps and Sana Lathan, and it is Love and Basketball. This is a great addition from Criterion. Really enjoyed this. The picture on this looks fantastic. It is a 4K digital restoration of this film from the year 2000. Just a great film, Love and Basketball. If you haven't seen this movie, it's It's a fantastic movie. It's a movie about, I mean, the title says it all, is love and basketball. These two young people in this film, they grow up together in a neighborhood. They have a love for basketball, but the film is more about their love for each other and their shared interest in basketball and how that all fits together. So just beautiful. The special features on here are fantastic, and I just really enjoyed this. And I think one of the themes that you're going to hear in all these titles that I'm going to talk about is the special features, and that is part of what, in my mind, makes for a great Criterion release. Is film that I enjoy, great picture quality, great supplemental package. Those are the elements that, for me, make for a great Criterion release, and part of what goes into my decision-making process of what films to include on this list. So number 8 in my list is a film from director Andrei Tarkovsky, and this film came in a fantastic digipack that I really enjoyed this year. And it's a film that is one of those films that probably isn't for everybody because it's hard, it's a little bit hard to follow. It's not a conventional narrative. It is sort of a fragmented type narrative that's doled out. It really deals with memories and hallucinations and visions and dreams. And it's just a fantastic film about the story of a man's life toward the end of it and his memories of his life and his family. And it's a film by Andrei Tarkovsky called Mirror. And this is a film from 1975. And this comes in at spine number 1084 in the collection. And this digipack is just absolutely fantastic. And the special features do a really good job of helping you better understand Tarkovsky as a filmmaker and really his thought process in making this film Mirror, which is just a sight for the eyes to see. It's a visual feast. And it's a film that you probably need to see a couple times to really begin to piece it together, but just a fantastic film and a fantastic edition all the way around. This is a really nice digipack edition from Criterion, and I just enjoyed this very much. This is a new 2K digital restoration. The picture looked fantastic. It's a beautiful picture overall, beautiful movie, beautiful film, and it just looks fantastic, and highly recommend Mirror as my number 8. Now we're getting down to my top 7, and this edition from Criterion is one that my interest was piqued for this when it was first announced a few months ago, earlier this year, because I really enjoy Broadway plays and I enjoy musicals and I enjoy seeing behind the scenes and the work that goes into putting these big productions together. And this was the original cast album recording of the soundtrack for a Broadway musical called Company. And this is original cast album Company. This is the 1970 original cast album recording of the soundtrack for this Broadway play. And this is a documentary from D.A. Pennebaker. The music and the lyrics were from Stephen Sondheim, who recently passed away, I believe earlier this month in early December. And this is a wonderful addition from Criterion. It is only 53 minutes, so it's a pretty short runtime, so it's easy to digest, but this is a fantastic, fantastic glimpse into the work that it takes to put together a original cast album recording and the work that goes into the artistic process, how painstaking that work is, the detail, how the composer works with the artists and how the artists go through so many rehearsals to get it right, to get it perfect, because this was the original cast album that was going to represent this play forever. So they wanted to make sure they got it right. And it took a lot of pain, blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. And the Elaine Stritch performance in this video toward the end of this film is worth the price of admission alone. That whole process, working with Elaine Stritch in delivering the perfect performance of The Ladies Who Lunch, is part of what makes this an amazing, amazing film. Original cast album Company is highly recommended. I cannot recommend it enough. If you like Broadway musicals, if you like the artistic process and what goes into making productions like this, I highly recommend this one. This is a really good one. It's a documentary from D.A. Pennebaker, so recommend that one. And then at number 6 is a title that I have been excited about. I was excited about it when it was first announced. It came out in July. It was announced during the month of April. And this is a film that was probably one of my most anticipated releases of the year overall, of all releases from Criterion. It's a film from Bill Duke starring Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum, and it's Deep Cover. This is the film from 1992. And this is an amazing, amazing edition from Criterion. The film is really good, but I think what really makes this edition is the special features, how they really help you better understand Bill Duke as a filmmaker. You really see his history as an actor coming up through the years and how he got into filmmaking and the challenges that he faced getting into filmmaking, how he started off in TV, got into feature films. And you really learn a lot about Bill Duke and his filmmaking process, his filmmaking journey, and the work that went into making Deep Cover. So this overall is a fantastic edition that I highly recommend. The picture looks great. You do get a new 4K digital restoration with this. You get a 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. I think one of the things that really draws me to this, or drew me to this, was the cover. I mean, the cover is fantastic for Deep Cover, but this is a great story, wonderful film, great direction from Bill Duke. Lawrence Fishburne is Lawrence Fishburne in this film. Jeff Goldblum is awesome. I mean, this is an overall knockout release and one of the best releases from Criterion for me of a single film this year. Deep Cover from 1992 from Bill Duke. That was a good one. So this is 10 through 6. So Uncut Gems, Love and Basketball, number 9, Mirror at number 8. My number 7 is Original Cast Album Company. And my number 6 is Deep Cover. So those are all great additions from Criterion that I highly recommend. And I cannot recommend these additions enough. In each case, the film is fascinating, the special features are great, and the picture quality in terms of the restoration work that went into each of these titles, just absolutely fantastic. Just highly recommended all the way around. Now this brings us to my top 5 Criterion Collection releases of 2021. My favorites, my top 5 favorites. So I'm really excited about sharing these with you. And when I thought about the order of these, it really took me some time to really figure out what is the appropriate order of these, because any one of these top 5, there's an argument to put them at the number 1 or number 2 spot, but I really think that I landed, for me, at the right ranking of these top 5 films. So let me know in the comments below what you think about all these films, but let me just go ahead and jump into number 5. So number 5 for me is a film that came out in 1993. And this is a film that I was really excited about. It's one of the early Criterion 4K releases. And it's a film from the Hughes brothers, Albert and Alan Hughes. And it's a film from 1993 starring Lorenz Tate. And it is Menace to Society. So this is a absolute knockout of a film. This was a original Criterion Collection Laserdisc from several years back. And now it's back in the collection at spine number 1105 as a Criterion Collection 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack. And man, this edition from Criterion rocks all the way around. I mean, you get a new 4K digital restoration. You also get a 7.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. So that soundtrack just is absolutely fantastic. Great audio experience. The video quality of this looks absolutely amazing in 4K Ultra HD. And overall, this film is absolutely amazing. It's a great story. I did a review of this title on my channel a few weeks ago. Highly recommend you check that out. But this is one of my favorite releases of the year. Great film. The special features are absolutely fantastic. The Hughes brothers, they have a lot of new supplements on here with interviews from the Hughes brothers where they talk about the making of this film. This was one of their early films. They came up from doing rap music videos. That earned them the opportunity to direct this film, and they did a fantastic job as early filmmakers. And they talk a lot about being young filmmakers at that time and their learning process and going through the learning pains of making a film. And man, this is an amazing film and an amazing piece of work from the Hughes brothers. And I think the supplements do a beautiful job of really helping to tell that story. So Menace Society on 4K Ultra HD is number 5 on my list. That brings us to number 4. So for number 4, we're going back several years, back to the early period of Humphrey Bogart's career. So this is a movie that came out right before Humphrey Bogart really hit it big and became a leading man in Hollywood. This film really helped to bring him into his leading man status. And it is a film from 1941, directed by Raoul Walsh, and it's High Sierra, starring Ida Lupino and Humphrey Bogart. This is an amazing film. Part of what makes this film amazing to me is the setting of this film in the Sierra Nevada of California. Just beautiful mountains, beautiful territory, and so much of this film was shot on location. And this is just a great story overall. And not only is the story great, but the picture quality on this with this new 4K digital restoration, and the picture looks fantastic. I mean, this film has been restored beautifully. This is 80 years since this film came out in 1941, and it looks amazing with this 4K digital restoration. The supplements are absolutely fantastic. The supplements do a great job of talking about High Sierra, but they also do a really good job of talking about Humphrey Bogart and his career and just several aspects of the making of this film. And you've got a really nice documentary on here called Bogart Here's Looking at You, Kid, which is a 1997 documentary. You've got a new interview with film and media historian Miriam Petty about actor Willie Best, who is a black actor who appeared in this film, and just his experiences working in Hollywood during that time and just the struggles and the situation for black actors at that time. The supplemental package is just a knockout for High Sierra. I highly recommend it. And you also get a second film in here, Colorado Territory, which is a great addition. Overall, this is a fantastic release. Anytime you get a second film on a release, I think that's a bonus. And that's part of the reason why High Sierra makes it very high on my list. It's number 4 of my top 10 Criterion favorites of 2021. High Sierra from Raoul Walsh. All right, so now we're getting down to the top 3. These are my top 3 favorite Criterion Collection releases of 2021. The order of these was a little tricky because you can kind of shuffle them around a little bit. Each one of these could arguably be number 1, but I'm pretty happy with kind of where this has landed. So number 3 for me is a title that when I saw this, it really blew me away. This is from director Joyce Chopra of a 1985 film. This is Laura Dern's acting debut in a film. And it is just one of the best releases that I've seen in a long time. And it is Smooth Talk from director Joyce Chopra. This is a fantastic film from the mid-1980s. And it stars Laura Dern in this coming of age story of a young lady sort of coming into herself as a young teenager, and just the dangers that many youths encounter and the dangers of youth in general. And it's just an amazing film. And I think what struck me about this film was the way that the film was paced at the beginning and where the film ultimately led toward the end of the film. It's really a little shocking in some ways. It's a little shocking and jarring and a little unnerving, but in a good way. It is just a fantastically executed film all the way around. And the special features on this edition from Criterion are just absolutely amazing. This edition includes one of the best extras of the year for me. It's the same extra that appeared on the Girlfriends edition from Criterion from 2020, and it's Joyce at 34. Which was a 1972 short film from Joyce Chopra. An amazing addition on here. You've got several interviews on here and conversations between Joyce Chopra, the actors that are involved. Of course, this film was based on a short story by Joyce Carol Oates, and this was executed absolutely perfectly. This is an amazing film. A fantastic addition from Criterion. The picture quality looks incredible. It's a 4K digital transfer, and you get a nice uncompressed monaural soundtrack. The presentation is fantastic, the story is great, and the special features for Smooth Talk make this one of my top 3 Criterion Collection editions of 2021. If you crack this open on the inside, you have a nice stapled booklet here. And of course, you got your little disc art here. And when you open this up, you see just a picture there of Laura Dern and her friends going into this hot dog joint here toward the early part of the movie, and you get a nice stapled booklet. Of course, you see Laura Dern and Treat Williams there. Just an amazing film all the way around. And you know, early on when I first saw this edition, I knew this had a very good chance of appearing in my top 10, and it does. It's number 3, Smooth Talk from 1985 from Joyce Chopra. All right, so down to my top 2 for 2021, and coming in at number 2 on my list for 2021 is a film from the director of my favorite overall Criterion Collection release of 2020, Parasite, and that is director Bong Joon-ho, and that is 2003's Memories of Murder. So this comes in at spine number 1073 in the Criterion Collection. This is a film from 2003. It's loosely based on some real life events, tragic events in South Korea in the mid 1980s to the early 1990s. Some serial killings that took place in that area during that time. This is the film Memories of Murder. This stars, of course, Song Kang-ho, who played the father, one of the fathers in Parasite, as well as Kim Sang-kyung, who played the detective. And this is an amazing film from Bong Joon-ho that I really enjoyed. At first, I will admit, and I said this in my review, I did a review of this on my channel a few months ago. At first, when I saw this film, I was a little bit taken aback and a little bit jarred by the comedy that was in this film. I wasn't really expecting this film to be funny in some ways, but it did have some elements of comedy. I was expecting this film to be a straight police crime procedural, and it's a little bit different than that. You do have those elements, but you also have an element of comedy mixed in there, and that was a little bit of an adjustment for me at first, but I really enjoyed this film. And this is an amazing film. The picture quality is great, and the supplements do a really nice job of telling the history of the events that inspired this film. Director Bong Joon-ho's filmmaking, his filmmaking techniques, and what went into making this film. And it's just an amazing job overall from the supplementary package. The picture looks great. I did note in my review that it does have a slightly greenish tint to it. It's a very green looking film, but overall it's very sharp, beautifully detailed, and the 4K digital restoration looks really, really good. So it's a restoration that was supervised by the cinematographer and approved by director Bong Joon-ho. And overall, this is a fantastic addition from Criterion, and it makes my list at number 2. Memories of Murder from Bong Joon-ho from 2003. Really, really good one. Which brings me to my favorite Criterion Collection edition release of 2021. Now, this is my favorite single edition release of 2021, and it is probably going to be a slightly controversial selection for a couple of reasons, but for me, it just comes down to how amazing the film is, how historical this film is, the amazing story that went into making this film, and how great a job the Criterion supplementary package does in telling that whole story and telling the history and story of filmmaker and actor Orson Welles. And my favorite edition is, of course, none other than spine number 1104. It came out just a few weeks ago toward the end of the Barnes & Noble sale in November, and it's Citizen Kane. This is the 1941 film directed by Orson Welles in his feature film debut, which is crazy to say because this young 23-year-old young man coming to Hollywood to be a first-time director creates one of the greatest films of all time. And that's part of what makes this edition so awesome to me, is how the supplementary package does a really good job of telling that story. So the film is absolutely amazing. I don't need to go into Citizen Kane as a film. It's one of the greatest films ever made, a fantastic film. Does it make the top of the list for me as greatest film of all time? I can't really say that. There is really no one film I could put in that category or put that moniker or mantle on. But it is a film that I would place in the conversation. If I had to put together a list of 10 films that should be in the conversation of films to be considered amongst the greatest ever, Citizen Kane would be one of those films. So it's an amazing film. I think the special features are great. As far as the picture quality on this 4K Ultra HD disc, it looks absolutely amazing. It's a pretty nice upgrade over the 70th anniversary edition that came out 10 years ago, the 70th anniversary Blu-ray that came out 10 years ago, which was in itself an amazing Blu-ray. Looks absolutely fantastic. This is a slight upgrade over that. And overall, that 4K disc looks fantastic. The supplementary package is amazing. I would say that the controversial aspect of this release would be the packaging. Now, the packaging of this release is something that I would say probably isn't the best part of this release. So you have this fold out nature here, and the book, kind of does this. And you have these panels, and you have a disc in each panel. You have your 4K disc in this panel here. Picture quality amazing, fantastic. Over here in this panel A is where you have Blu-ray disc number 1. And it's this Blu-ray disc that has come into question from a picture quality standpoint. And it's the disc that Criterion is offering a replacement for based upon a picture quality issue that apparently occurs around the 30-minute point where the picture quality changes dramatically for the remainder of the film after the first 30 minutes. I didn't notice anything on my copy, but I think a number of people have seen it. So it's something that if you are interested in getting a replacement, there's information on the Criterion site that will tell you the details of that. So this fold out is something that a lot of people don't like. I can definitely understand why. It would probably have been better if they would have chosen different packaging for this. But overall, I mean, is it a deal breaker for me? No. I mean, when I think about this edition from a content standpoint, in terms of the picture quality of this disc, why I bought this edition. I bought this edition because the film is amazing. I bought it to get a 4K edition of this film, and it is a knockout. And the supplementary package is absolutely one of the best supplementary packages from a Criterion collection that has come around in a long time. It is that complete of an edition, and it's for that reason why Citizen Kane tops my list for 2021. It is the absolute best single edition release of a film that I have seen from the Criterion collection in 2021, bar none. Citizen Kane from 1941 from director Orson Welles. So that is my top 5 editions for 2021. So you've got Menace to Society coming in at number 5. You've got High Sierra at number 4. Smooth Talk is in the top 3 at number 3. Memories of Murder is number 2. And number 1 is the 4K Ultra HD edition of Citizen Kane. So a 4K Ultra HD of Citizen Kane, 4K Ultra HD of Menace to Society, bookending my top 5 of 2021. So those are my top 10 editions, favorite editions for 2021. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this top 10. But as I said before, at the beginning, I do want to share with you the edition that would have made the top of my list if I was including box sets. So my favorite overall edition of 2021 is an edition, as a box set that could have come out in 2020. It's been rumored for some time, and I'm really glad that it finally came out. This is another example of packaging where the packaging might not work for some people, but I'm sort of okay with it because overall the content is really strong in terms of having these wonderful 7 movies in one box from this filmmaker. And it is World of Wong Kar-wai. This is the World of Wong Kar-wai set of 7 films from legendary auteur and filmmaker Wong Kar-wai. He brings a wonderful stylistic vision to his films, and I really enjoyed these movies. Of course, In the Mood for Love is one of my favorite additions from Criterion, and seeing this in a new restoration just looks absolutely fantastic. There are some comparisons to the older Blu-ray, but I think the restoration on this new version looks absolutely fantastic, and overall these films look great. There's some controversy on the color correction choices or color timing choices that the director Wong Kar-wai approved for these editions. I didn't have a problem with any of them. If there's anything I would say about this, I would say that maybe the supplementary package could have been a little bit stronger. The supplements overall could have been a little bit richer and deeper for this collection. But overall, I'm very happy to have these 7 films in one set. And for me, this is my favorite overall edition for 2021, if you were to include box sets. World of Wong Kar-wai. So let me know in the comments below what your favorites are for 2021 from the Criterion Collection. And let me know what titles you are most excited for coming up in 2022. 2022 is fastly approaching. Of course, we're wrapping up 2021, but in just a few weeks, we're gonna get the first 2022 titles, starting with Celebration. I'm looking forward to getting that in the mail and doing a review of that film from director Thomas Vinterberg. We know that The Piano, the 4K Ultra HD edition of that's coming out, a 4K of Hard Day's Night's coming out. We've got Miller's Crossing. We've got several incredible films. Love Jones is coming out in March. So let me know in the comments below what titles you are most looking forward to in 2022. With that, I appreciate your watching, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.